Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today to discuss the Washington Golf Foundation. My name is Santana Shipley, and I'm the Community Operations Manager with the IAGA.
And hello, my name is Matt Brown with the Washington Golf Association and the Washington Golf Foundation, and I am the Director of Development and Donor Relations.
Hi, my name is Chris Bayaki, and I'm with Resolute Philanthropy.
All right, just to dive in here, how long had the Washington Golf Foundation been planning to kind of start, and what did those initial brainstorming and planning processes look like internally before launching it publicly?
Yeah, a little background on the formation of the foundation. The Washington Golf Foundation was established in August of 2022 as a charitable organization dedicated to supporting the growth and accessibility of amateur golf in the state of Washington. Our primary mission was to raise and manage funds for key initiatives such as Washington Golf's Youth on Course program, which obviously provides affordable playing opportunities for our junior golfers. The foundation also serves as a platform to other or to support other wall golf programs, and in the future aims to launch a philanthropic campaign to help create a permanent home for the game in the region. We call it the Northwest Golf House at the home course. So we own and operate the home course, and ultimately we would like to see a Northwest Golf House where everything is under one golf umbrella. So the idea of forming the foundation actually began in 2020 as WA Golf's strategic planning process. Early discussions and planning were driven by our desire to expand the Washington Youth on Course program and secure the necessary funding, along with a long-term vision of establishing the Northwest Golf House. And in anticipation of other programs to grow the game that would need additional funding, and for obvious reasons, we wanted to be a charitable foundation so people could get the tax breaks for also donating.
Absolutely. And then, so once the Washington Golf Foundation kind of gained some momentum, how did the partnership with Resolute Philanthropy kind of come together? And then what drew you to work together on this project? And then specifically, Matt,
Yeah.
since your role was created specifically to lead this initiative, what was it like kind of stepping into that, hitting the ground running?
I'm a consultant in the nonprofit space. I help nonprofits build confidence and clarity in their fundraising. And a mutual friend reached out to me and said the Washington Golf Foundation has hired their first ever director of development. He's got great experience in sales, great experience in golf, but he's never worked for a nonprofit, and they're looking for some coaching. So I reached out, connected with Matt, connected with his team, and had some really good conversations, and we kicked it off from there. And I serve as kind of an accountability partner and a fundraising strategy coach. Uh, Matt and I talk once or twice a month, and my role is to bring my fundraising knowledge to the table, coupled with Matt's knowledge of the sport, his knowledge of the industry, his comfort with sales and outreach. He's got like 90% of the skills he needs right there. I help give him that extra push for that extra 10 to really make the Golf Foundation an active and engaging thing for donors to participate in.
Chris has been fantastic. He's such a resource and such a mentor to me. I can lean on him for everything. I bounce ideas, best practices, try to pick his brain for his expertise, and he kind of points me in the right direction. It's a little bit of therapeutic sessions too, just trying to figure out, hey, am I doing this right? Because I'm new to the fundraising space and philanthropy, and I'm passionate about it. I've really found my lane, and I really enjoy it. But I don't know a ton of it, and it's a huge space that I'm learning about. And like Chris said, I'm a sales and marketing guy. I've been in corporate sales and been in a few different stints in golf, but this is a new um, area for me, and I'm loving it and learning a ton.
Absolutely. And then you kind of started, Matt, with just the purpose of the foundation and the mission. So, the Washington Golf Foundation emphasizes that golf is more than a game, teaches values, builds character, open doors, creates community. How did that broader purpose kind of shape the strategies that you've developed, and the message that you have wanted to share with donors, in the golf community?
Yep, such a great question, and really kind of something that I deal with every day, that it's so much more than a game philosophy. So we just always talk about the being active, and how the Washington Golf Foundation is trying to transcend typical sports specific fundraising model. It's positioning itself as an impactful nonprofit dedicating to helping life skills and creating opportunities and getting kids active and off of their screens. And it's just so much more than like discounted tea times and greens fees, and trying to connect with that emotional component and really making the mission resonate with a bigger and wider audience than just golf and just kids. And it's more about families and community and bringing everybody together and those relationships. And I know it sounds kind of, big, but it's, for me, it's bigger than that. And when I go out and present and I get to speak to it, it means more than just discounted tea times and just golf.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in here and say like this idea of elevating the conversation of your nonprofit beyond the what you do and into the why you do the thing, that's where donors love to be. That's where donors love to connect with nonprofits. And if all Matt was doing was talking about how great it is to play golf, I don't think he'd have half the success he's had so far. But instead, he's engaging people with, why does this matter? Why does this sport, why does this game, why does this experience matter? And in uncovering that, we're able to connect with people who have an emotional connection to golf. They played golf with their parents, or they played golf with their friends, or it's something more than the sum of its parts. And that kind of emotional investigation, or that emotional projection, is it seems a little unwieldy at first, but it is so effective when we're talking about meaningful fundraising conversations.
I think that emotional aspect is even bigger than we think it is, in so many different ways. Matt, from your perspective, in terms of these strategies, what does it look like to put them into action, from launching the individual donor campaign, to just exploring in general new ways to prioritize outreach and engagement? What has worked well, and then what kind of have you learned along the way that hasn't worked well?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's always a learning experience, and we're trying so many different things. And this talks about diversifying and trying, really tapping into our database too. We are so lucky at Wall Golf, where we have, 90,000 plus members, and trying to get to communicate to them about our foundation and our 501(c)(3) and what we're trying to accomplish, because they don't all know that it's relatively new and what we're doing and how and what some of our goals are. So we have a specific cadence with our communication, and we're using a lot of technology and software. We've added a new wealth screening software called Windfall, which has been good, where we can drill down and really hit some of our targets and some of our donors. And we're trying through email communication, through our website, through personal reach outs, through our fundraising campaigns, through our events, all different types of things to, as Chris has trained me and coached me up, to build that donor family or that donor base. And so we can really start to bring that donor base into one place, and then reach out to them and try to set personal meetings, reach out and do personal notes, and really tap into that other layer of donors. Isn't that right, Chris? Would you piggyback on that maybe a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the when organizations are starting fundraising, one of the biggest challenges they have right out of the gate is donor discovery. Like, how do I know who to talk to?
Right.
And Matt has almost a different problem, in that the foundation and Wall Golf has so many names in their database. It's not feasible or reasonable for Matt to be like, all right, well, start with Aaron Anderson and call him, and then move on, like just start calling. So the challenge is really identifying ways to prioritize Matt's time, and to take the great pool of potential donors and really try to identify who's raising their hands in terms of they're more engaged, they're really connected. And that can be anything from, like Matt said, some wealth screening tools can be helpful in that regard. But even if you don't have that, looking at your database, and if you can determine how long someone's been a member for, or how many are they responsive to mailings? Are they coming to events? Are they involved in local clubs and local activities? Like anything that shows that they're really ready for more connection, then Matt can take that next step and make that personal connection. And it's really important to note that what he's doing is making personal phone calls and sending personal messages. It's not a generic message from the foundation to a person, it's from Matt to a person, because we want these members and these donors to kind of get into the habit of, oh, Matt's from Law Golf. He's going to reach out to me from time to time. He's going to call me when he's in town. I'm going to meet with him. And it's, they start building those habits and building those relationships. That's what leads to major giving, to significant giving from individual donors. It all starts with relationship building.
Yeah, I think that is a perfect branch into my next question, just in relation with storytelling, and relationship building being so central to the foundation's success. Just more specifically, how have you approached donor communication and messaging? I know you talked a bit about, those personal phone calls, meeting with donors, and just being really involved in that. Can you share any other specific approaches that have really resonated with you?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The storytelling and the relationship building are such a core and a central part of the Washington Golf Foundation communication and some of the success we have. I've got a few that I wanted to share. So, and this comes straight from Chris. He's coached me up. And I remember it from the first day I met him. He said, "You've got to prioritize the why. Why are we doing this? Why are we, it's so much more than golf." So, number one is prioritize the why. Every piece of communication that we send out circles back to the foundation's core belief is that golf is just a vehicle for character development, opportunity, community, family, being active. That's why we're doing it. And then that leads into the emotional connection. So when you get those going, it's the emotional connection. Tell a story about a junior golfer that's had success. Maybe he's gone out with his mom and dad and he's found golf, or maybe he's gotten active doing it. So those human narratives, those are really, really important. Let's see. We also talk about, it's more than a game. It's always beyond the game. It's self-confidence, it's integrity, it's learning the rules, it's youth development, community, go out and spend time with your buddies and your community. That's really the sweet spot because like we talked about earlier, they don't want the phone call or the meeting to talk about just golf, just golf, just golf. We're trying to really resonate and drill home that message about it's so much more than that. And we're trying to do impact stories and talk about, the community and spending time with friends and family and all the good things that golf has to offer.
That's it. That's the heart of the kind of the messaging strategy, is really engaging people in that conversation beyond what you do. And from a fundraising like tactics point of view, it's always important to remember that 9 times out of 10, donors don't give to you, donors give through you.
Mhm.
Meaning donors aren't necessarily giving to you because they love your website or because you asked them in a really good way. Donors are giving to you because you've described a future world that they want to be a part of. And you can't do that if all you talk about is the nuts and bolts and the mechanics of like, this is how youth on course works, and this is how we get the players in, and this is how we reimburse. Like, no, that's maybe a long down the road conversation. But that initial conversation to build that relationship, we
Mhm.
got to get to emotions. And that's, if you think about the relationships in your own life, your friends, that's how you build it through shared experiences, through trust, through sharing emotions. Like it's not just, I mean, I guess when you're a little kid, like you have the same color shirt as somebody and now you're best friends in kindergarten, like that works. But beyond that, we got to dig a little deeper.
Obviously, you both have said some really great things about how crucial relationship building is, your messaging, and the why, those big aspects. Is there any other advice that you would give to another AGA that is looking to launch or grow their foundation? What should, outside of these elements, what should they prioritize and what's been key to kind of building momentum for the Washington Golf Foundation so far?
So I put some notes down, and I think number one is define your mission and your impact. What are you really trying to solve? What's your problem that you're trying to solve? Is it junior golf access? Maybe adaptive golf is your thing. Historical preservation on the courses, sustainability, a combination of any of those things. Really be specific and go to market or message with some specifics. The other thing is tangible impact. What's really going to happen here? How many lives are going to be touched? Are we talking about a few hundred, a few thousand, tens of thousand? Let people know and really communicate that message. And how will the golf community benefit? We're going out to our interior database of that 80, 90,000. How will they benefit from it? Because a lot of our donors too are all golf industry folks. It could be owners, operators, members. Donors want to see measurable results. Is this going to help grow the game of golf in the state and the community that I live in? So tell that story and prioritize that. The other thing is, it's all relationship building. So reach out, do things like this, connect with your other AGAs, connect with, like recently I became a commissioner for the Seattle Sports Commission, where I'm rubbing elbows with executives and decision makers and tech corporate people and going and networking and spreading the good word of all things WA Golf and the foundation. Oh, I didn't even know you guys existed. And, starting to tell that story. And how cool of a story it is to tell. It's golf. I mean, when you get into a room full of folks and you get to say, hey, I'm Matt from the Washington Golf Foundation and Washington Golf Association, all of a sudden, that dad or that mom perks up. Oh, cool. That's interesting. It's golf. So try to be passionate, and I try to spread the good word. Next, and this is always a work in progress, is build a dedicated and engaged board and committee. You got to recruit, because I had a call yesterday and I'm thinking, not only do I want this gentleman and this executive and corporate sponsor to donate, but I'm thinking maybe I could recruit him for a possible board position. Always talk about, when you're meeting and talking with these folks, always kind of have that in the back of your mind, and make sure your board is engaged. And it's what we call a working board. Yeah. And then I could go on and on, but one of the most important things, and Chris has really coached me up and taught me this, is you have to diversify your funding streams. So try to get a lot of different systems in place, whether it's a big annual event, or we've got a spring and a fall online auction. Our spring auction's going on right now. Whether it's we just added a new component in what we call a POS, our point of sale, where we added the final stage of when you become a WA Golf member. You have a pop-up at the end of when you're getting your credit card out to join. Would you like to donate $5 to the Washington Golf Foundation to help, the 501c3 and, our initiative? And sure enough, we got results. We had 1,000 new donors. Only, $5 here, $10 here, all adds up. So a little bit of everything, from high net individuals to $1 here and there, it all adds up. You really need to diversify your funding streams, because that's important. You don't want to just go after grants and, high net individuals. You got to have a little bit of everybody, engagement for everybody. So.
And let me dive in on two of those things you just brought up, Matt, just to kind of emphasize. The board is a critical component to nonprofit success. There's a lot of moving parts when you start getting into board strategy and board recruitment and retention. I do long trainings just on this topic, but I'll say in the very shorthand, every member of your board should be a donor to your organization, and every member of your board should be actively engaged in fundraising. Now, the challenge when you say that is board members are going to start to freak out, because when you say fundraising, they think only about asking for money. But fundraising, if you look at it from its totality, it is the act of cultivating relationships, asking for support, and thanking people or stewarding those relationships. And I found in the connecting and in the thanking, board members can be incredibly powerful. That if you can have a board member and they are engaged and they are talking about your mission in the networks that they belong to and they're inviting people in, if you have board members who have said, yes, once a month I'll make 3 thank you calls to donors,
Hmm.
or I'll handwrite a thank you note to a donor. That's incredibly powerful and frankly incredibly easy for your board to do, but it really goes a long way because a lot of nonprofits struggle with donor stewardship. It's a really hard discipline to get into. So if you can get your board to be a driver of that part of your stewardship discipline, you'll retain more donors and you will have stronger relationships with donors long term. And then the other note on diversification, absolutely, lots of channels, be creative, always whenever possible, think about how you can connect with individuals. Individual donors are the most generous donors. Individual donors are responsible for more than 90% of all charitable giving in the US. Individual donors make the transformative gifts that you see in the newspaper. It all comes down to individuals. So when you're thinking about your strategy, even if you're just starting out, think about those individuals that you can personally connect with and personally invite into your organization. That's going to be a really important strategy. The other strategies, grants, corporate sponsorships, special events, those things have their own kind of their own nuances to which you can kind of dig into as they go. But if you're not sure where to start with individuals. And if I can be incredibly self-serving for a moment, I'll say another great recipe for success is to hire a coach or consultant to help you, especially if you're new to fundraising. Get someone in there who can help you prioritize your time and take the right steps. I think it'll be, again, very self-serving. I think it's a good idea.
Absolutely. And every single component that you guys listed is so helpful for, an AGA that is looking to expand or, launch a foundation. And with that being said, a foundation is a huge undertaking, um, with a lot of different facets, but a lot of potential for impact. So before we wrap up, I just want to open the floor to see if there's anything that we haven't covered or if you have any final thoughts or takeaways.
There was a couple of things I wanted to add. Nothing of significance. We do have a fun thing on our tech. We're pretty tech savvy for a little old golf foundation that's new. We have double the donation, which is a corporate matching button on our website, which is really neat because here in Washington we have a large tech community, and Microsoft and uh, Amazon and Costco and Starbucks and huge employers and Boeing and stuff. And so a lot of them do corporate matching with their donations. So we added that and we've seen some success with that. Um, and also, it's important just from, I don't know if I got this message across, is that we're always talking to our golf course partners. And so, because part of my job is to also add golf course partners to Youth on Course. And there's such a champion and an ally for us to spread the good word of the foundation. So I guess that goes back to networking and our relationship building. And also, I think it's important, and I don't know if we can work this into the conversation, but procurement. I've spent the last couple weeks reaching out to entities. It could be a golf course partner to donate a foursome, to get a signed Bryson DeChambeau PGA Championship flag, to get a Seattle Mariners package with goodies. I'm always asking for something, right? To try to procure items to give for our auction and for to have in our stable to raise money. So that's another big part of my job, is to build relationships both in the golf industry and our golf course partners, but also procuring items that have value to them. Because I'm already starting to procure, like I'm going to get on the phone with the Seattle Seahawks and see if I can get some signed merchandise and stuff for our October event. So I think we all kind of forget, like, hey, I've got to get items and procurement, and that's a big part of my job as well.
I think I mean, having me talk about fundraising, how much time you have, but I'll
Yeah.
limit it to kind of three mindsets, because fundraising, if you've never done it, or if it's new to you, it can be really intimidating, because there's a lot to consider, and there's a lot of you'll start comparing yourself to other nonprofits and be like, oh my God, they're doing this, I should do that. Take a breath, start somewhere. I mean, that's kind of the first thing is we got to get started. What they say is a good plan today is better than a great plan tomorrow. Like, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Get started. But from a mindset point of view, the things I remind my clients to think about is, first off, when you're thinking about fundraising, you really want to be thinking about fitness, not construction, which is weird to say. But construction, you build it and it's done. I want to build a house. I've built the house is built, done. Fundraising, I would imagine, much like golf, it's an ongoing process, like any kind of fitness regimen. It's about making good choices, small incremental improvements as you go. It's something you can never just say, I'm done. You can never just say, well, I've done the treadmill, so I have cardiovascular done. I'm done. I've done 10 push-ups, so I'm done with that kind of work.
Yeah.
No, it's constant. And so fundraising, you're always going to be learning and trying new things and experimenting. So, keep that in mind. The second thing I'll say is, in fundraising, your curiosity is more important than your expertise. If you are going into donor meetings feeling like you are, or you need to be the expert about your industry, about your organization, you're probably not going to be listening in the right way. But if you're coming in curious about how your donors are connected to your mission, in Matt's case, curious about their stories of golf. Where did they learn? How did they play? Why is it important to them? That curiosity is going to drive better relationships than Matt's. And Matt has expertise in the sport, in the company, but when he leads with his curiosity, he builds better relationships. And the third thing is to remember that fundraising isn't about asking every single person you know all the time, everywhere. It's about inviting the right people to connect with you. And those are people that have an affinity for your mission. And their affinity, their passion is way more important than their capacity. Some nonprofits think, I've got to find the richest person I can and ask them. And that usually does not work at all. What works is, I want to find people who care about this and invite them in to join me. And if you come in with that attitude, you're going to have, I think, faster success than someone who is looking to be like, well, who knows Bill Gates? Let's call him. Like, that's probably not going to work.
Yep. I'm really passionate about this. I'm learning so much. And some days you feel Chris nailed it. Some days I come to work and I'm like, am I doing this right? And we just kind of, you never know if you are, and you're comparing yourself to the other golf nonprofit, and what are the other AGAs doing, and what's First Tee doing, and what are my competitors doing? And it's just, yeah, I'm learning a ton, and he is a great resource. So
Thanks,
some
Matt.
days it feels like you kind of have imposter syndrome, like, are we doing this right? But then other days it feels like I'm right where we're supposed to be.
And that feeling is common amongst every nonprofit professional. Every professional fundraiser I know has had that feeling when you're looking at your screen and like, am I doing anything? Is this working? It can be like,
okay,
because
good. I feel better.
a lot of the work is putting yourself out there and inviting people in. And sometimes they don't respond, or they don't respond right away. And sometimes we fill in that silence with our own fears or our own doubt. But sometimes you have to like lock in again, stay the course, believe in the mission. And if you believe the mission is worth supporting, then it's worth working for.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah, that is wonderful. And I just really want to thank the both of you for taking the time to speak with me, and just for allowing the IAGA to highlight all of the incredible work that you are both doing through the Washington Golf Foundation. It is truly inspiring just to see the impact that you guys are making. And I am excited to follow the foundation's continued growth.
I think we have a lot of room to grow, and a lot that we can do through the Washington Golf Foundation, where we can continue to improve the access and affordability and the opportunities for junior golfers in the state.
golf is just a good thing, and it's expensive. And to get kids to participate, we want to help them out. We want to make it accessible, affordable, and just a place to grow the game.
It's a challenging game, so it challenges you personally. It's a fun game. It's an opportunity to get out with friends and families and socialize. It's an opportunity to get exercise. There's a lot of integrity behind the game and the rules, so it just provides a lot of different layers to enhance your life experience.
As a reminder, if your association would like to highlight a program or initiative, please reach out to me, Santana Shipley, at shipley@iaga.org.